All right, welcome back to another edition, show number 5 of the Gulf Coast Blitz. It is Monday, September 9th, and Marty Pallman. He is Joshua Wilson of Florida HS Football, and we bring you another edition to look back at Week 3 of high school football here in the Gulf Coast. A lot to get to tonight, Josh, and we have the Blitz lines coming up. Our guest tonight, Chris Harvey of Clearwater Central Catholic.
Yes.
The undefeated team, as we will talk about them a little bit later, and we'll have our pick 6 as we do every week. But we start
with
well,
we're just going to give it a moment here. We did tell everybody to follow us on social media. Not just yet, Marty. Not just yet. I know you like to get to the Blitz lines because you like the music.
That's absolutely true.
Anyways, follow us on social media at Florida HS Football, except on X or Twitter. Some people call it Twitter still, and I call it Twitter still. That's at FLAHS Football. If you're following us on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell. We're almost to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. We need to get to 1,000. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell when we go live or post new content with video on FloridaHSFootball.com on the YouTube channel. And now, Marty.
There you go. All right, I got a little ahead of myself. There, that's the music for the Blitz lines. All right, so we start this week in Pasco County.
Yes, kind of go up and down the coast here.
I'm a little bit down up and down the coast. You're right. As we start in Pasco County, talking Mitchell and Wiregrass are 3-0. How about that? Good start for both.
No, absolutely. And with both Mitchell and Wiregrass Ranch doing really well here. I mean, they're obviously the king of Pasco County, those two teams. But, I do if out of the two teams right now, do I have maybe a potentially concern about this week? It might be Wiregrass Ranch, and we'll talk about that here in a moment.
A tough game for them coming up, right? But,
yeah,
the good start for them, as you said, 3-0. And Mitchell, we haven't talked about Mitchell a lot, but they're also up to a good start. We will, good. Emery Smith is watching us tonight again.
Yeah, we got some people watching us here, so we got the comments popping in. We'll pop those comments up here in a moment, Marty.
As we will talk, he will be talking to us about Hardy, as always. But so Pasco County, that's where we start. And then we go on to Hernando County.
Yeah, Nature Coast rolling at 3-0.
Good start again for the Nature Coast.
And Coach Casimir there, Rob Casimir has got the Nature Coast rolling.
Yeah, 3-0 to start, as you said, and they get a win over Lecanto this past week, so not a bad victory there. Good start for
Nature Coast Sharks.
The Sharks, right? Again, Hernando County is probably Hernando Citrus, so the northern part of our area, Gulf Coast, so
and Sumter County too.
Sumter, that's right. So speaking of that, will be one of our picks later. South Sumter will be involved, but. All right, so we'll head south to Polk County, and I know there's some folks that want to hear about this. Lakeland, they did it again. They go on the road. This one was a little tougher than Central overtime.
Yeah,
Lake Mary.
Yeah, so hey, doing this one 35-34 in overtime. The Dreadnoughts. Hey, all they say is you got to have 1 point, and one point is all that you need to win a ball game. 1
point is it, and that's all they needed. They got it, and. It was a tough one, 35-34 at Lake Mary, but Lakeland again gets the victory as they go to 3-0.
And we do have a couple of comments in the house, and we'll get to see Mark Cannon and of course Emery Smith here, Bud and Nully as well, but Charles Bell definitely chiming in here, and he said right here the game down in Lake Mary was he was on the edge of the seat.
Yeah, so and that's unfortunately again another. Game they're not in the same classification, so they won't play in the postseason. But I think two teams. We know Lakeland's going to be a favorite. I think Lake Mary's got a real chance in 7A. But Lakeland, they find the ways to get it done so far, and they are now 3-0.
And
two-time defending state champ, the Dreadnoughts.
Yes, but here you go, South Sumter struggling on the road. But Wiregrass is visiting this week.
Yeah,
so.
and really, South Sumter losing to Bradford isn't a bad loss. I mean, Bradford is how good Bradford is. We've talked about them up in Stark, and we talk about them on the North Florida Blitz tomorrow night. But South Sumter went up there, lost 28-7. So now they get undefeated Wiregrass Ranch team and trying to get back on track. They've already played Niceville on the road, and Bradford lost both. So South Sumter's schedule has been pretty tough to this point, but see if they can get a win against Wiregrass Ranch this Friday.
Billy Rayberg chimes in, and he said Bradford sounds. I mean, good game, good matchup. Definitely not an issue there. Mm-hmm. It's just that maybe a little bit of struggle. I thought the score would be a little bit closer for a term, not like 28-7. I thought it would have been more like a 28-14 or like a 28-21 type deal. But that's not the way it went here. And he's mentioning about a number 9 here and a linebacker, number 9, but number 9 for them is actually a free safety listed on the roster, Jacarian Turner. So, Billy, so that's well, we'll see if that's the case with number 9, and then we'll go from there.
Them around, who knows? But yeah, that's true. And thanks, that's our friend there, Briley up in Stark for the Bradford Tornadoes. But all right, we talked about South Sumter. Zephyr Hills, they're having some issues as well, 1 and 2. What's going on with the Bulldogs?
And I'm just wondering if it's maybe the schedule, and it may just be the schedule. It's just a tough schedule, for the Bulldogs. They do have one of the top prospects in the nation. They're sitting there on the roster, but they say it's not. Teams are not built just around one player. It's around the roster. It's around multiple players. So you can't rely just on one player to carry your team the entire way.
That's right. So. Well, but that, again, a long way to go for them. Long way to go in the season, so they can turn that around. But a 1 and 2 start for them as well. And now Gaither, they lost opening week, but they've come back with 2 wins in a row. And then I think,
but needed overtime to beat Durant.
Yeah, they did need overtime to beat Durant, who I believe is playing Armwood this week. So yeah, that's they're
Durant's playing Armwood this week.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, this week. And Gaither, I think, already beat Plant, didn't they? So they're was it Plant? Gosh, I lost track of some of these games. I know Gaither's won their last 2. So.
Yes.
After losing opening week. But yeah, they do go to OT to beat Durant as well. Meanwhile, more Florida-Georgia battles. We've seen a lot of them. And guess what? More Florida teams losing the Georgia teams. It's been that kind of season so far. And Jesuit was home, played Valdosta tough, but lost that one 35-28. And Manatee had to go up to Lowndes County, Valdosta as well. And they dropped that one 30-15. This week, Manatee's got to come up to Gainesville to play Buchholz.
Yeah, and that's going to be one, and we'll talk more about that tomorrow night on the North Florida Blitz. That's 8:30 to 9:15 tomorrow night.
But again, Florida teams having a little bit of trouble with the Georgia teams, and Valdosta and Lowndes, both in Valdosta area, are always very good. So,
and then how about this? Armwood surviving Tampa Bay Tech to stay undefeated.
Armwood survives Throwback Thursday to stay TBT.
No,
Tampa Bay Tech, right, yeah, they did a really good ball game. Tampa Bay Tech is 1 and 2, but they've been close in both their losses. 31-27. Armwood now unbeaten, as you said, at 3-0. And good win for Armwood. Tough game against Tampa Bay Tech. In fact, Tampa Bay Tech has Plant this week. Their schedule continues to be pretty tough. But a time for one of our uh-ohs.
And I just did not expect this. I did not expect this. I mean, okay, week 1. Against CCC, yeah, that's understandable.
Right, exactly.
But week 3 against Carrollwood Day, I mean, I know Carrollwood Day has been pretty good, but I mean, at some point, for in my opinion, you're a defending state champ. You've got to win some ball games here because I mean, at the end of the day, what's going to happen is remember they're in Class 2A, they're in Region 2. Mm-hmm. Okay, who are the other teams that are sitting in Region 2? Bradford, Cocoa.
That's right.
I mean, if you're gonna you want a chance to be playing the state championship game again this year, you've got to kind of get it up and going. I mean, honestly, we know that some teams will peak early, some teams don't peak until later. Hopefully, this is the case for Berkeley Prep. Hopefully, it's a case that you go ahead and take the losses early in the season, but you got to pick it up here later in the season, especially when it comes to district play later on, and in about 2 weeks' time for most teams. With district play will be starting here in a couple of weeks. Some are starting this week, but week 6, that's the ultimate one. Usually, most district games will start.
And this isn't the only team winning state champion that's having trouble winning games. So Chaminade Madonna lost their first 2. They got to win finally this week. We'll talk about them in South Florida, and then we talked about Mainland. They're 0-3. We talked about them in the Central Florida Blitz. So some of the defending state champs, you're right. They need to start winning some games. And Berkeley Prep's another one, and Berkeley Prep's traveling to Sarasota Riverview this week, who's a 7-8 team.
So and we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one for them as well. But
and get it going. And this next topic, this is not because we know that there's more than just this here in terms of Pinellas County Power, but we'll come back to that towards the end of this because there's a reason why how we're segueing this. But Largo, Tarpon Springs 3-0, both of them.
Pinellas County teams, the Packers of Largo, and then the Spongers. Yep, both the. Tarpon Springs beating Seminole Osceola 28-17 to go to 3-0. Largo 3-0. Good to see Tarpon Springs has been struggling lately, so good to see that.
They actually went 9-1 last year, and then this year they're already starting off the 3-0 start.
Year, right? So Largo again. Largo's a pretty good team. Normally gets to the postseason, but yeah, good start for them as well. All right, and speaking of holy moly, Venice,
where's your defense
at? I mean, they beat Bishop Verot 71-56. So let's review. Week 1, I think they won 60-4-48 over
Yes.
Tampa Bay Tech. Then they beat Northwestern 48-42.
In overtime.
And then they beat Bishop 71-56.
I mean, I'm just sitting here. I mean, the amount of points you put up, I mean, in the first 3 weeks, okay, hats off to you, but you're giving up a lot of points too.
Yeah, I mean, they're finding ways to win. And again, that'll be another one of our picks. They travel to Port Charlotte this week to Venice, but yeah, in fact, those first 3 games have all been at home, too. This is our first road game this week. But, yeah, it is like if you keep scoring 60, 70 points, it's going to be hard for you to get beat, to lose, even though if you give up 40 points. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see if this can continue.
But here's my next question. Your next opponent's Cocoa.
Yeah, that's going to be – yeah, they're going to figure that out quickly.
And you got IMG Academy somewhere on that schedule, too.
Yeah, they do.
I mean – the question is where does, I said that, there was 3 games I felt like Venice could lose. Well, they won one of those already. That was the game against Miami Northwestern. I felt like that was a game that you could potentially lose.
We need to put, we need to place Venice and Apopka, team that can't score against a team that can't stop anybody, and a team that scores everything.
That would be interesting to see.
All right. Apopka can stop people. They just can't score. And Venice, can't stop anyone, but they definitely can score points. But anyway, they're 3-0. Meanwhile, speaking of 3-0 teams, Palmetto wins again. They are 3-0 after beating Riverview. Sarasota Riverview 41-20. Port Charlotte, they're 3-0. They'll host Venice this week.
Yeah, 66-0 over Lehigh. So Port Charlotte looking pretty good, but that'll be interesting because Port Charlotte scored 66 last week. Venice 71. Let's see who's the first to 50 this week.
That's going to be fun. Both those teams have been scoring a lot of points. And go down to Naples now. Let's talk about how about First Baptist. They continue to just roll along. We don't talk about them a lot, but man, they beat OCP 45-0. Naples still unbeaten 47-0 down in Collier County as well. And another team in Fort Myers, Dunbar, they remain unbeaten, as well as Fort Myers High School as they win last week. So a lot going on in Lee and Collier counties. A lot of good teams already so far.
Some good football down there in Southwest Florida. So
that's right. So and then finally back to Pinellas Power. I like it. Alliteration. Our guest coming up, Coach Harvey, CCC, Triple C, thumps Tampa Catholic 40. They beat them 48-7, go to 3-0.
And before that, last week they thumped Sebring. So it's after having the come back from behind, they're in week 1, and get that win over Berkeley Prep. I mean, it's been the CCC show.
Yeah, I see. Mark Cannon says,
chiming in,
big time potential 1A playoff matchup.
Carrollwood Day versus CCC, and that's a possibility. It's not that Carrollwood Day is a bad program. It's just that, for Berkeley Prep, that was a quality win for them at the end of the day against Berkeley Prep. It's just Berkeley Prep. Do you take the losses now or do you need to take them later? And you probably want to take the losses now versus later when you really need everything to go your way.
Yeah. And I guess there's another comment there about South Sumter. We can get to that.
Well, we'll get that into the fan comments and questions.
Right. All right, so that leads us to our first water break. I got to get some water, and we got to get ready for our guest in the interview tonight. It is head coach Chris Harvey of Clearwater Central Catholic. I am Marty Pallman. He's Joshua Wilson. You're watching the Gulf Coast Blitz.
All right, welcome back here on the Gulf Coast Blitz as we come to you live each and every Monday night, 8:30 to 9:15 here on FloorHSFootball.com and all the FloorHSFootball.com social media platforms. And our guest tonight is the head coach of the Clearwater Central Catholic Marauders. 3-0 on the season. That's head coach Chris Harvey. Appreciate you, coach. I always enjoy talking to you, so I'm glad you were able to get some time and come talk to us. Talk about the strong start of your guys here. I know the last 2 years, the state championship game has left a bitter taste in your guys' mouth. And to come out and start off 3-0, beating a defending state champion in Berkeley Prep week 1, but then coming out weeks 2 and 3 and just taking care of business against Sebring and Tampa Catholic. I mean, I don't think that could have been any better start than what you wanted there from your guys. And talk about that start here so far with here early in the season.
Well, I've been listening to your show and you were talking about Berkeley and the fact that we were able to beat them in the first week, and then they lost again to Carrollwood Day, who always has a good program. But if you look back to a year ago, they did the same thing. We beat them in week 1, and then Calvary beat them in week 4 or 5, and then they put a run together. So Coach Howe does a great job with those guys. And I think that's the reason why we sort of set our schedule up the way we do. We play each other the first game of the year. And it's one way to get the season started against a tough opponent. They're always a physical team, and we sort of hang our hat on being a physical football team. So, we were able to come ahead, come out on top this year and last year. But, just being able to put a start together the way we have, I think that, we preach to our guys, we're competing against ourselves every week. Not a knock on anybody we're playing, but I mean, we're 3-0 and we've scored a bunch of points and we're not giving up very many points, but we still haven't played our best football. So, and that's sort of the way you want it to be early in the season. You sort of want to identify the weaknesses you have as a team and sort of work week in and week out to try to, fix those things that may not be, working as well, and then, improve on your strengths and your weaknesses at the same time. So.
Yeah, Coach, good to talk to you. This week, it's a rivalry game with Clearwater. What do you know about the Clearwater Tornadoes this year?
Well, it's not a very big town, and there's 3 or 4 schools in it. So, but Clearwater's, Coach Thor, he does a great job with those guys. They're a very athletic team. They've got a heck of a quarterback that can spin it real well. He's got a cannon of an arm. I think the record isn't really truly telling of the talent they have. They've lost 2 close football games, but at the end of the day, it's about old Clearwater. I mean, we're literally, 3 miles from each other. We've played each other. I think this is like the 3rd or 4th time in the regular season that we've played each other. I'm not real sure how many, and it's always a good game. I mean, last year, we had a pretty good season, and one of the closer games we had was against them, and a lot of that has to do with, that they're very athletic. They're big at some positions. So I mean, they do a good job. Like I said, Thor does a good job. They're very well coached, and they'll come here Friday night ready to play. So.
No, absolutely. And one of your top guys, I know we've talked about him, the last couple of years, but Joshua Newton, senior year, it's hard to believe it's his senior year, but he's already balling out here on the field for you. And I mean, already 32 of 49 passing for 494 yards, 3 touchdowns. I mean, I know the interceptions probably want to cut that down a little bit, but hey, at the end of the day, he also runs, and that's the big thing. And 140 yards rushing. So I mean, with Deshaun, being a senior, I being a senior leader, I know what have you told him so far this year as a senior, going through all this with the progressions, from the last 2 years, I know that ultimately the quest for him is, hey, he wants to come out and win on top. And we all know what the challenges are for that to happen. So, how you been guiding him for this year, for this final ride?
I think the thing to understand about Shawnee is, Shawnee's been a player on our team for this is his 4th year, but his family has been a part of our program for the last 8 or 9 years. I mean, he's got 4 older brothers that all played in their program, and the one that plays in the NFL now, another one that's a star receiver for Toledo, and his 2 oldest brothers are Vaughn and Quan, that were a running back and linebacker, that played at West Florida when they won a national championship. But with all being said, Jashawn is being Jashawn. He's improved every year as a quarterback. He's advanced in the way he sees defenses. He's advanced on understanding that his job is sometimes to manage the game, because his skill set and the things that he does, we know that, but so does the opponent week in and week out. So he's done a good job this year of understanding that defenses are going to key on him. But when you key on a quarterback, it really it creates some weaknesses other places. And he's done a good job of, divvying the ball up, getting the ball to his, playmakers on the edge. And we've got two really good running backs that line up beside him in Nasir Hutchinson and then Sean Kuno that, I know as a defensive coach myself, I wouldn't want to have to, line up and try to stop those guys week in and week out. And then as the season goes, we're developing some threats on the perimeter at wide receiver. We've got 3-4 guys that really can stretch the field with either speed or size. So I think with Shawnee, it's just managing the game, letting it come to him, and not trying to press. Sometimes I think he's such a competitive person. Sometimes he presses a little bit too much, and luckily he's just so talented that he's allowed to get away. He's able to get away with it sometimes. But I think for him moving forward, it's just let the game come to you and take what the defense gives you.
No, absolutely. And you mentioned defense, and one stat that stands out so far in three games played, 11.5 sacks. I mean, that your defense is playing lights out when it comes to getting back there in that backfield and getting that quarterback down. And talk about your guys here, especially like Gregory Thomas here. Who's got 5 sacks, and Tyreek Harris 4 sacks so far this season.
Well, there was a time about 5 or 6 years ago where I really did think that we probably had the best 4-man combo on the defensive front that we could have ever had. We had a kid named Johnny Newton, and then we had a kid named Kennedy Roberts and Harrison Thomas and Kaysen Romali and Zach Elam, and they did some good things up through 2020. But this group we have now with Tank, which is Greg Thomas and Tyreek Harris and Keo Jenkins and DJ Pouncey and some other guys that we throw in the mix there. They've just been able to be productive within the scheme, which I think is important for anybody up front. Is a lot of times you'll see statistical leaders in sacks and they'll come off at 5, 6, 7 sacks, but the defenses are giving up 20 and 30 points because they're not doing things within the scheme. Our guys, they are responsibility job first, and then do a good job of making the plays that come their way. And we've just been fortunate enough with some of the guys we have on the edge that they've been able to make a lot of the plays that come their way. So we're excited about our defense. I think we won last week 48-7 off of an interception for a touchdown, which Shawnee was real happy about. But at that, to not give up any points against Tampa Catholic, to give up one touchdown against Sebring, and then to hold what Berkeley does. I can't get away from the fact that they are a physical, well-coached offense, and to sort of hold them to what we were able to hold them to rushing the football, I think is a testament to what our guys up front, and then, secondary wise, we're probably as athletic, if not more athletic than we've ever been. So, it just all keeps adding up. We're not as good now as what we need to be at the end of the season, but we're as good as we should be at this point, which I think is important as far as the rest of the season goes.
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned Nasir Hutchinson. Looking at his numbers, already 359 yards in 3 games. What type of running back is Nasir?
Well, this is, Nasir's second year. Him and Justin Stevens shared the load last year, and I think Justin ended up with 1,000 yards, and I think Nasir, we call him Chewy, I think he finished with 500 or 600 yards. But he's well on his way to that now. And then with him and Sean Kuno in the backfield, like I said, a 1-2 punch. We've got Sean as a perimeter run guy who can stick his foot in the ground and get vertical with some speed, and I think that's one of the reasons why Indiana likes him. And then Chewy is a guy that, he protects well. He's inside the box. He's got good vision. He made a cut last week, and I'm sort of coaching him off the technique that we use as a running back. And, he went with the feel instead of what he was coached, and he was downright perfect. He was able to see things that you really shouldn't be able to see. So he's been very productive for us. And like I said, when you've got those two guys and then the guy that's handing the ball every time, I'd like to see a better, 3-person tandem in the backfield that would be able to be more productive than those 3 guys.
No, absolutely. And looking ahead here, Coach, to the rest of the season here, honestly, y'all don't duck the competition by any means. And I know that, after this week with Clearwater, it's Trinity Catholic, and, Trinity Catholic struggling a little bit. They finally got their first win of the season, but, of the, state runner-up from last year as well, last 2 years, I should say. But, you only have one district game, and that's Indian Rocks Christian. But after that, you got Northside Christian, Venice, and then, St. Francis Academy out of Maryland. I mean, closer to the end of the season, when most teams usually would play these out-of-state games at the start of the season, you got the out-of-state game on the back end. Was it more? Was that by design, or was it just kind of how it fit into the schedule this year for St. Francis?
Well, scheduling is always interesting. I mean, if you look, we don't travel as much this year as we have in the past. We play a Clearwater team in county, and we finished up against Boca Ciega at the end, which is more public school teams than we've been able to play in the past here in Pinellas County. But I mean, I think that it was partially that's how it fell. But then at the same time, I mean, our goal is not to go undefeated in the regular season. Our goal is to be, firing on all cylinders at the end of the year, because we all know what's at the end of the tunnel for Class 1A, which I think, I mean, I probably catch a lot of flack for this. I think 1A football in the state of Florida is probably one of the best classifications from top to bottom that there is. And for us to, have the season end the way it has, not that we like to go back to talk about that, but it is what it is. We wanted to be able to prepare ourselves a little bit, stronger opponents as the year goes on. I mean, you were talking about the offense that Venice has been able to put up, and I know Coach Peacock does a great job with those guys to get those guys to come here, and then the following week to have a team like St. Francis that's a nationally recognized team that, if you look at their schedule, I mean, we claim to be a great program down here in CCC, but some of the teams that they play, throughout the country are, I mean, they've got one of the top schedules in the country. So, to get those guys to come down here and play, I think it just really prepares us for what we're going to have to do as the season goes. And you're right. I think that I say this all the time and I catch a lot of flack, but I mean, in order to beat the best, you have to play the best. So I think that, a schedule like that, whether it's in the back end, the front end, I mean, it's just, I think that it's my job to put our kids in the best situation to where if and when that time comes, whether it be, the first round of the playoffs or a state championship opportunity again, that they're prepared for those big game atmospheres and we see as similar to what we're going to see as the season goes as we can. So that was sort of the mindset behind building that schedule. A little bit of, hey, this is where we need some games, and we do have a difficult time fielding a schedule, especially with a one-team district, which that's a whole other topic that we could probably talk about for forever. But when you have to find 9 games in our program, that's tough. So it just happened that it worked out for us this year to be able to play teams like Venice and St. Francis. And like you said, I mean, we play Berkeley, defending state champion, Trinity Catholic, the defending state runner-up, Venice, defending state runner-up, St. Francis, national power. I think our schedule would go toe-to-toe with just about anybody else's. So.
No, absolutely. And you talk about 1A football here. I mean, this was last week, according to the Full HS Football, like on sports media poll. Obviously, you guys at number 1, Cardinal Newman number 2 is it's may have been a strong surge. Chaminade Madonna, I know everybody's like, well, wait a second, 0-2, but 1-2 now, obviously on the season. But I can't discount them out of anything. And then First Academy is a fast riser. First Baptist, Melbourne Central Catholic. There's still Trinity Kirsten, lurking around. I mean, Carrollwood Day, obviously. There's still, Benjamin, Lakeland Christian. So, I mean, at the end of the day, there's a lot of good football teams in 1A. I think people, it's like, oh, well, 1A is the smallest classification. And it's like, wait a second, just because it's the smallest classification doesn't mean it might be some of the best football. And it really is some of the best football teams sitting there in that classification this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you have to be careful making the statement. A lot of times that happens in the state of Florida, but I think that's, for lack of a better way to put it, that's a cop-out for people that don't want to play 1A football programs, is that they're the smallest classification in Florida. I don't know any 1A program that's at the top that wouldn't play any other program, no matter the classification. And I think we've shown that by who we schedule every year. And I think that once teams, no matter the classifications, they line up against their guys, they know that whole classification deal, and thinking that because we're a 1A football program, that's some sort of knock on us. That's just not the case. I mean, the best football team in the state of Florida, if not the country, last year was a 1A football team. So to say that 1A football is small town football, that's
no, that's the rural classification.
Yeah, right.
not to be rude, but that's just a cop out.
I know, I agree with you on that. I think honestly, when we look at it to stack down top to bottom right now, I mean, actually, I put 1A against some of the bigger classifications right now, just because of the way how the teams fell.
Yeah,
in terms of that reclassification.
Right.
So,
all right.
You got anything else, Marty?
I'm good.
Coach, I mean, Hey, it's week 4. It's hard to believe the season's already going by this quickly. But you got Clearwater this week at home, and that'll be a big matchup. And then of course the rest of the season ahead of y'all, and we'll see what happens. Of course, your one and only district game in about 2 weeks' time, and we'll see what happens there. Hey, win that one game, and that's it. You're in the playoffs. I mean, it's hard to believe that, but all you have to do is win that one game. That one game.
You got to win that one game, though, Josh. And we're at the point now where I think we've got a mature enough team that understands that we have to take it week by week. And this week, it's our job to solidify ourselves as the best team in Clearwater. So that's what we're thinking about now. And then hopefully, I see that you have our helmet up in the background there. Maybe
yes, I do.
You can.
Yes, I do.
Join us in your show as hopefully, if we play well, the champions of Clearwater with that helmet sitting up there. So.
There you go. Right. There you go. Coach Chris Harvey, the head coach of the Clearwater Central Catholic Marauders. I appreciate you stopping by here for a few minutes and your busy schedule, and good luck this week against Clearwater.
Appreciate you, Josh. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right, Marty. Well, I mean, how about that?
How about that helmet being back there? Did we plan that or something?
Yeah, I got it. I got it to make sure that was in the shot. So I wanted to make sure that it was actually in the shot. So and the 4-inch football helmet's actually sitting there. And actually, I think we got a better shot now.
Yeah, you do right there. There it is.
There you go. Perfect.
Coach saw it. He saw it back there. But yeah, I was thinking about. He was talking about playing Venice. I mean, we were talking about Venice earlier, and I mean this Clearwater Central Catholic team with their defense. I mean, they've been shutting everybody down. And then you're going to play Venice. We were just talking about how, they score like 60 points a game. That's going to be a fun game.
Yeah.
For about a month's time. That'll be a lot of fun to watch that game. But, but they're rolling along. See if that happens against Clearwater this week. And then Trinity Catholic and Ocala next week. It was probably their longest road trip of the year. They didn't travel much, but they will go down to Ocala next week to play the Celtics. So, but we appreciate Coach Harvey coming on with us tonight. Here.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know what that music means? It's time for another water break.
It does mean time for more water. Got to go get some water. And then we'll be back and we'll have our fan question of the week and our pick 6 for week 4 here in the Gulf Coast Blitz. All right, welcome back. Marty Pallman and Joshua Wilson here on the Gulf Coast Blitz. Again, thanks to Chris Harvey, head coach at Clearwater Central Catholic, our guest tonight on the Gulf Coast Blitz. By the way, tomorrow night, the South Florida Blitz from 7:30 to 8:15. Our guest will be head coach of West Boca Raton.
Dylan Potts. And then we're kind of working on a couple things for the North Florida one, kind of trying to get a couple things situated there for that. But we'll have that figured out probably by tomorrow morning or the early afternoon at the latest.
I was just thinking this too, and I almost forgot about it. But our guest in the Central Florida Blitz, Coach Conaway at First Academy, man, that might be a team CCC might see in the postseason.
Yeah,
First Academy's going
1A football here tonight.
That's pretty good. Yeah, I mean, we're talking a lot about 1A football. And sometimes you don't talk about it because, as you said, probably the smallest schools in the state, but it's good football. And all right, well, now it is time to take a look at our fan question of the week.
And actually, we got a couple of questions here, Marty.
Looks like Smith is.
We got comments here, so we
got some comments. Yeah,
someone Mike Tactic says, is South Sumter on a rut or quality losses? I'm going to rack up the quality losses in a second, but
there's nothing wrong with losing at Niceville and at Bradford. I mean, those are tough places to go. Really good teams. I think that they go home this week against Wiregrass Ranch, the South Sumter. I think they'll pick it up. Those were a couple of tough road games already for the South Sumter team.
And Garrett Seagrass said decent game in Bradford, questionable fishing made a bad game. And I wasn't there, so I'm gonna reserve judgment on that one. But everybody has a right to their opinion, as long as it's
Yeah, I mean, it was a 28-7 game, but I mean, if you say that officiating had something to do with it, okay, I'll let you have that opinion. But we weren't there. I couldn't tell you.
And I got to get to this comment here because it was actually in the comment box before we even started from Mark Cannon, Blitz super fan on tech for the Gulf Coast, waiting for my day for the Sarasota Sailors to earn a mention on the show. And I know Sarasota. I mean, man, I know Mark. I know probably
gonna be a little while, maybe.
Probably as a Sailor fan, I know it's been it's a struggle right now. I feel you. I feel your pain. As a fan, when I've gone through it for years as for my alma mater up in Clay County, Middleburg, struggling. But last couple of years, it's actually been all right. They're actually we'll talk about it more on the North Florida Blitz tomorrow night a little bit.
Yeah, they made the playoffs a couple of years in a row. That's true.
So I know the feeling of having to deal with with the struggles of a program.
Another one of my favorite names in high schools in the state of Florida, Sarasota Sailors. I love that, the alliteration. So. All right, let's hear from Emory. Looks like.
Yeah, we have heard her from Emory's got a thing, and Hardy
6 for they played Saturday morning
because the
weather.
Yes,
okay.
weather.
Well, that's been happening, but
yes, the weather.
Lemon Bay, our defense struggled covering Lemon Bay's tight ends in the first half. Penalties reversed all game. After some adjustments, the defense shut out Lemon Bay in the second half. It's a little too late. If they played that earlier, the outcome might have been much closer. Stop playing on Saturday morning too. I got to say that is. I'm sure that was
especially when it's already like that. 90% humidity.
Yeah, it's 90 degrees. I know, right? So.
And the sun's beating down on everything. So yeah, it makes it hard. And
right.
Yeah, and let's see. And Emory says that this Friday, Avon Park at Hardy should be an easy win for Hardy, or at least it should be. Well, we'll see what happens.
So that's a rivalry game there, isn't it? Avon Park has been struggling, I know, for them, but Nelly says a sailor in a dreadnought.
Painting the Blitz in the orange and black, and look at that, a sailor in a dreadnought. There you go.
That's absolutely correct. But all right, so those are our comments. See, we got anything else?
And then Noli was like, Pinellas County, let's go. Yes.
Yeah, I'm talking about Pinellas County. A lot of good is going on there. Still looking for that first state title.
And Luke Kimmel, we see your comment talking about Acilla Christian Academy football. Well, that is for North Florida. That is tomorrow night between 8:30 and 9:15, and that's where you can kind of catch it if we mention Acilla Christian.
That's right. Well, let's go ahead. Our final segment is my favorite segment of the show. It's time for the Pick Six. First of all, let's hope the results were as good as they were in Central Florida. Josh and I are both 6-0 this week. So let's take a look at the Week 3 results for Gulf Coast, and they are
5-1.
Not bad. I mean, we're turning it around. I tell you, that's some applause for us.
Yes, indeed. And
yeah. Look, there we go. Yeah, pat on the back. Some horns. We're getting it going. I mean, I told you, Week 3, 4, we'll start good. First couple weeks were a struggle, and here we go. So, but overall, let's see.
Well, overall,
Josh is a game lead, but pretty good. 18-6, 17-7. So we're rolling along there. 708, 750, not bad. Now, as we start off with a game we talked about already, Berkeley Prep at Sarasota Riverview. Now, Sarasota Riverview getting their first loss against Palmetto this past week, and then Berkeley Prep 1-2. A tough start for the Buccaneers after the loss to Carrollwood Day. This is a 1A school against a 7A school, and for that reason, it's a road game. I'm going to take Sarasota.
Well, it's 2A school versus 7A. Berkeley Prep's 2A.
I'm sorry, they're 2A. I was thinking 1A from Clearwater Central Catholic. Berkeley Prep is 2A. Right. Last year, right. So anyway, either way, I'm taking Riverview because it's a road game. Berkeley, I've been taking Berkeley Prep. It hasn't worked out so far, but I'll go with Sarasota.
Maybe Berkeley Prep wins this game, but I'm going with Riverview as well.
Did you? I actually thought you might go the Berkeley Prep direction there.
Well, no, not so fast, my friend.
I know. I guess not.
And the great names of the league Corso.
Yeah, that's right. Still on ESPN College Game Day. All right, good matchup here. Lake Wales 3-0.
Oh, about a US 27 right there. There you go.
Yeah, Lake Wales shut out Auburndale last week to go to 3-0. Sebring 2-1. Their only loss coming to CCC. This game taking place down in Sebring, the home of the Blue Streaks. Well, I tell you, Lake Wales is playing good football. The Highlanders take a little trip south. I think they're going to
Fireman's Field.
Fireman's Field. That's right. I like Lake Wales to win this game on the road.
Well, I mean, Sebring, they always have a good home crowd, but Lake Wales football, the Highlanders have been playing great football. I know they may not be putting up as amount of points as they were like a couple of years ago when they won the state championship there in Class 3S against Mainland and down there in Fort Lauderdale. But hey, a W is a W right this second, and I feel like the Highlanders will take the W on the road.
There we go. We will say Lake Wales on the road there. Next game, this is a good one. Plant and Tampa Bay Tech. Now, Tampa Bay Tech's 1-2, but keep in mind they've lost to Venice
and Armwood.
And those were both close games. Meanwhile, Plant,
they beat Robinson 59-0 this past week. So they took care of their rival down 4 miles down the road down Dale Mabry.
Did they lose to Gaither? Who beat them? Was it?
It was Gaither
that beat
them.
That's right. Week 2, after a big win week 1. I tell you, Tampa Bay Tech's been close. And for that reason, I'm going to go with TBT. Throwback Thursday. I got Tampa Bay Tech winning this game at home.
And I'm going with this one. I like Tampa Bay Tech here. They're fired up. They're juiced.
Yeah.
They're juiced after those 2 losses because they know they're quality losses. So I am sold here.
They're home now. They've been on the road the first couple games against Venice and Armwood. So, all right, 3 for 3 so far on the Gulf Coast picks. Next up is Wiregrass Ranch and South Sumter, a game we were talking about a little earlier. Wiregrass Ranch, how about them? 3-0 after a win last week. And South Sumter, 1-2 with losses to Niceville and Bradford. And for that reason, South Sumter finally coming home after a couple of big road games away. And I know a good start for Wiregrass Ranch, but I think South Sumter is going to bounce back and get it going. I'm taking South Sumter at home in Bushnell.
Well, and I'm going to go with the home team as well because it is an electrifying atmosphere there. It is electrifying there at Inman Sherman Field.
Former legendary coach there at South Sumter. Yeah, nice name there. So
I'm going South Sumter here. I like what Mark Cantor does at Wiregrass Ranch. Don't get me wrong. About Wiregrass Ranch. Yeah. But this is South Sumter. South Sumter has played probably, I would say, a better quality schedule at this point than compared to what Wiregrass Ranch has played. Don't get me wrong, Wiregrass Ranch 3-0. But you go on the road. It's a 6-hour road, 5.5 to 6 hour road trip out to Niceville. All right, you're going to Central Time Zone. Okay, you played. You came within 7 to Niceville. Okay, Bradford. Okay, 28-7. We get that. We know there's some things. Some people are questioning, like, well, the officiating. But we since I wasn't there, I can't say yes or no onto that. But again, Bradford's a quality team. Mm-hmm. That reason, that's why I'm going with the Raiders.
There you go. All right, South Sumter at home. So 4 for 4 so far. We've got 2 more games to go. And next up, there we go. 2 3-0 teams. These 2 teams have been scoring a lot of points. Venice and Port Charlotte. This is it's a district game.
No, it is not a district. It is not a district game.
Venice. Yeah. Okay. I thought
this was. Here's the thing. This game's going to 1 of 2 ways. I don't think there's a middle ground to this.
All right.
Either both teams are going to score really little to no points, or both teams are just going to score a lot of points, and both defenses will sit on will not show up this week.
I don't see it being little to no points. Both these teams score a lot, and Venice, we've talked about them. I think Venice wins maybe 62-54 or something, but I'm not going to pick against Venice at this point. I'm going to go with them on the road. It is their first road game of the season, but I think they're going to go headed down to Port Charlotte and get the victory there and go to 4-0.
Yeah, and that's where I'm just kind of like, you know what? My thought is Venice here, and I think the reason why the biggest thing.
Port Charlotte.
No, it's not taking Port. Why would I take?
You said but. I thought you were about to take them.
Venice. Here's the thing about Venice. It's the schedule that you have played versus Port Charlotte. I seen one set of rankings put Port Charlotte in the top 25, and I'm like, not so fast yet.
That's the difference.
That's the difference. I don't know if Port Charlotte even belongs in the top 25 in the state. the other teams that have played. It's schedules they played.
Venice week in and week out. I mean, Tampa Bay Tech, they played Northwestern, and then they played Bishop Row. I mean, already, and they've got a bunch of big games coming up. They got Cocoa coming up, IMG. They've got Clearwater Central Catholic. I mean, this might be one of their actually easier games, and I don't think it's going to be easy, but I think Venice wins on the road.
Even our resident Emery Williams Smith, who chimes in and says Venice is the favorite, and I think they should definitely win, but I will be cheering for Port Charlotte, though. I hope they will keep the game interesting and give Venice a fight. But Venice is definitely a huge favorite, and then, hey, even when you want to cheer for the other side, but you understand it, and that's what Emery gets here, and right. I think that's the biggest difference here. It's not that okay, Port Charlotte's a great program. Don't get me wrong.
Yep.
Jordan Ingman, he's been the head coach there for a long time. I mean, and he's built a quality program. The thing is, though, I feel like when it comes to the scheduling part for Port Charlotte, it does not match what Venice has done so far. I mean, you've scored a lot of points. Don't get me wrong on that. Mm-hmm. But again, this is not a situation. This is not a battle of top 25 teams. This is a battle it's a battle of good quality teams in terms of, okay, you got a top ranked, a top 25 team in Venice versus a team that's, hey, actually, and honestly, let me go pull it up here since we got a moment here, Marty. I think I got it right here in my documents.
Do we have a moment here?
We do have a moment.
Okay.
There we go. I'm trying to think. I think Port Charlotte is 4A, I want to say. And yes, they are. They were receiving votes this last week, 3-0. So, I mean, even my voters, the voters in the FloridaHSFootball.com sports media rankings, even though, last week they were 2-0, they were receiving votes, but they were on the low end of receiving votes. I mean, you got teams like, Dunbar, Vanguard, Jesuit, Naples, Choctaw. You got these teams that are sitting up here. It's hard to break into that top 10.
Right.
Yeah, and that's where I even say, hey, I just don't. If Port Charlotte beats Venice, then yes, I call them a top 25 team in the state, but they're not there yet.
No, I don't think so either. And I agree completely with you on that. So we take Venice finally one more game, and this is a big game. I like this one. American Heritage.
Oh yes,
at Naples and
Staverfield.
Staverfield, Naples.
If you've ever watched a game at Staverfield, I recommend it. Go do it. Yeah, go do it. It is a good place. It is a great place to go watch a game, especially in Southwest Florida. You will not regret paying whatever the ticket price is now, probably like $8, $9, $10. The way the cost of games have gone up.
I'm surprised they haven't called it Bill Kramer Field yet there at Staverfield.
That might be coming eventually.
Yeah,
we don't know yet.
But yeah, Naples. I mean, always good. 3-0. They started. American Heritage is 1-2, but keep in mind they lost to nationally ranked Milton, Georgia, and then they lost last week 48-45 to Chaminade Madonna, who got their first win. So for that reason, even though this game is at Naples, I think American Heritage is going to bounce back. I think they get this win on the road against Naples.
No, and yes, and this is a big thing here for where I'm going to
American Hurt.
Yeah, American Heritage. American Hurt.
American Hurt.
But here's the thing. It's the schedule that American Heritage has played so far versus what Naples has. It's not that this game can't be great. It's not that this Naples can pull off a big upset here. Mm-hmm. If Naples does pull off a big upset, it puts Naples into the conversation for top 25 status.
Well, absolutely. I would think they'd be there if they win this game. So
I mean, honestly, what the Golden Eagles have to do is just play mistake-free football.
Yep, that's right.
Go look at the film that you got from American Heritage Chaminade Madonna. You probably learn a lot of things because that was a high-scoring contest.
Mistake-free football. That's all the Jaguars needed to do yesterday too, but they didn't do that. So it doesn't always happen.
So, but I mean, this is where it's like, okay, you want to take the home team because the great environment, but in this situation, this is American Heritage game, I think. But we'll see we'll see how it goes. It could either go, it's either going to go, it's American Heritage is going to romp them, or it's going to be right in the middle where it's kind of a battle, or it could be, hey, it's Naples pulling off the big upset.
Wow, 6%. I thought you might go with Naples there. You know what? And I can't pick up one game if you're going to pick the same thing every week. Jeez.
Sorry, Marty.
Let's see if we go.
Well, let's wait until the playoffs. Let's wait until the playoffs.
Long way to go. Hopefully, we'll go 6-0 either way. But yep, that is the pick 6 for this week. Week 4 coming up. Final thoughts, Josh, before we head off for another week.
Well, we got some comments sitting here in the box here, and Nolly says can't go wrong with the orange or black, even if it's Lake Wales.
Yeah, I saw that, right? And it's true. Not Lakeland, but Lake Wales, the Highlanders, and
they're
yeah,
both
very
orange and
similar.
black
They
and
are.
white out there. So
They
I
are.
mean, hey, it's interesting, and that both teams are have like pretty much the same colors out there.
I know. So, well,
two of the oldest programs in Polk County
in that area too. Yeah, Lakeland and Lake Wales. Well, all right. Well, I think that's it. We're gonna sign off for this week. Coming up tomorrow night, by the way. Emery, thank you for listening to you. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Great show as always. We appreciate that as well. All right. So
thank you very much. Thank you.
Tomorrow night, tune in 7:30 to 8:15 South Florida Blitz, 8:30 to 9:15 North Florida Blitz, and every Monday night you can hear the Gulf Coast Blitz. 8:30 to 9:15. We are on Facebook, Twitter X, Instagram. We are on YouTube as well.
Yes, and hit that subscribe button at Florida HS Football on YouTube. The rest of the social media channels at Florida HS Football, except for X/Twitter. That is at FLA HS Football. And wait a second. Nolly, great show, guys. Nolly. And he brought up a fun fact. He caught us right before the end, so that's a good thing.
Highlander, really?
Yeah, that is interesting.
I get that mixed up. Okay. I mean, it was like Will's. You're called the Dreadnought, then. I mean, geez, that's funny, but we appreciate it, Nelly. Thanks for watching, and that's it. That's Joshua Wilson. I'm Marty Pallman, and go ahead, Josh. Say good night.
Good night, Marty.
We'll see you soon.